Illinois.
No. I was born in Santurce, Puerto Rico.
Say it again.
Santurce, Puerto Rico.
Yes, I love the R's.
My mother was from Puerto Rico. My father is Dominican.
Okay.
And I've lived in Worcester in 2 separate occasions. We were here in the 70s. In fact, I was door knocking in Great Valley, and one of the kids, I asked the family, one of the kids was there. I asked her, where do you go to school? She goes, Clark Street School. And I said, in 1974, I went to Clark Street School.
Wow.
So, and then the second time we came back in 1980, and I've been here ever since, in December 1980. And, I've been involved. I've served in the military. I've served at the state level. I've served locally on the city council. I was 5.5 years on the council from 2000 to 2006. And I have been the executive director and now president and CEO of Centro, Las Americas, now known as Centro, for 8.5 years. We brought that organization from 23 employees to 98 employees, from a total operating budget of 1.1 million a year to 7.2 million.
Wow.
And we're doing a lot of great things, and I love this city. I love what I do, and I've been working on behalf of our community for a very long time now. What happened in the break in between 10 years ago and now, and that what happened was that I was on the council, and I was truly fighting for the things that we believe in, and that is equality and equal opportunity for communities of color, both in terms of education as well as jobs and opportunity for entrepreneurial support and so forth. And the system, if you will, or the powers to be felt that I was a threat, and so all of the elected officials except for 2 ganged up against me. Clearly, I was pretty beaten up in terms of the fight, because I was alone, maybe I didn't work as hard as I should have, and I lost my re-election in 2005. But for the past 10 years, I've been focusing on my kids and my life and Centro and my career. Okay. And so I've been working hard to serve our community in different ways. But I look at our government now, and I see, and I'm not happy with what I see. It does not reflect our needs. It certainly does not reflect the diversity of our city. Yes. And by virtue of that, the policies that are adopted have very little to do with us and how they impact our community, regardless of the fact that, depending on whose statistics you use, between 38 and 42% of the total population in the city of Worcester are people of color. And so, and it's not just about that. I mean, we have a lot of people who are poor, and there's a lot of stuff that we have to do that we haven't done, because we've been focusing on the big projects and in downtown, and haven't paid enough attention to the neighborhoods, and haven't paid enough attention to bringing jobs to Worcester and expanding the tax base, and really haven't focused on some of the quality of life issues that are important. And I look back, and the majority of the people who are there now have been there 6, 10, 20 years, and it's all the same. And so we need to take our government back, and the way to do that is through the ballot box. And so I feel that I am eminently qualified. Certainly I have the heart for it, and I have the passion for it, and the commitment. I have the know-how, the education, and the experience, and I figured that this would be the time to come back, and so that's why I'm back.
Well, here's one. I've known you for a long time, by the way, and yeah, you probably don't remember me, but I am Sarai's father.
Oh! Oh my God! My niece.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all related?
Yeah,
Literally.
Family. Yep.
She's the
wow.
father.
Yeah, I am Sarai's father, and I was asking her. I said, he don't remember me at all. So what question should I ask? And she just said she wanted to tell me to keep up the good work and that she is proud of you.
This city is crazy.
So y'all are related, like
a small world. Well, I kind of
yeah.
So here's what I like about you. Beyond knowing you for a long time, and this has nothing to do with being family either. I spoke to Hilda Ramirez, who is also running now.
For a school committee.
For the school committee.
Yep. And she said that you were one of the people that helped her when she really didn't know anything about the city. And unfortunately, in Worcester, there's not a lot of that goes around.
Yeah.
It's almost like people are so afraid to give up a piece of the pie that they don't want to share with anybody, or they don't want to help anybody else come up at all. They don't want to support. They don't want to support their own. They don't want to support anybody. And when I spoke to Hilda Ramirez, and I was like, "Do you know Juan Gomez?" And she said she just spoke highly of you, and I just, that made me, think, because I was like, the only thing I know about him is that he's related to Sarai. but after that, I know that you are actually one of those people who have a heart for helping others.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for that. This world and certainly this city is very small. We have 186,000 people, and when I was knocking on doors before the primary, I kept saying, "My God, this city is so big." But when you come right down to it, when you get into the weeds, if you will, our community is very small, and so we have to. Because of that, we have to try and see and do our very best to support others. Last year, also, Moses Dixon was running for state representative in the Main South area to cover the Main South area and Leicester, and I was very helpful and supportive of him because I felt. Here is a young black man who is very smart, well educated, has experience, has a commitment to this community. Let's help him, regardless of philosophy, political philosophy or whatever. Let's help him try to do what I know he can do, which is to help our community. And I was very proud to support him, and I caught some slack over that, and I don't care because to me, it's about our community first.
Right.
And so that was very exciting, and so we have a unique opportunity this year in that we can, in this city, we can possibly elect 5 or 6 people of color at the same time.
Indeed.
That's right.
And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that our community, we have the power to do that if we just exercise it. And that is all we have to do is get out to vote and just vote for people, vote for folks that represent us. And
he's behind you.
I just want to say before we continue that the man is here. He just popped in. Frankie Paul of Flavor 105.5 Positive Impact Show. Frankie, if you have something you would like to say to the people, go on ahead.
Woo.
He's supposed to be at work. I'm just saying.
Mr. Frankie Paul. No, thank God he can't reach them. Your post is why I'm actually here, because you post something that was very dear to me, and I said let me take off early to come here and get it. But it's FB in the building, Mr. Juan Gomez. Nice to meet you. Big up. Big up yourself. And one of the people, I was listening to the comment that Will made about you trying to help, and I'm trying to still process that in my head because that is a rarity around here.
It is.
And from the time we've been doing the show and until that's one of the things that we've been trying to hammer home to say, listen, it takes one to help one, to get wherever we need to go. So congratulations, and thanks for what you do out there, just for the simple fact that you try to help somebody to reach their political goal, you know what I mean, which in turn help others. It is a great deal, and thank you very much for that, my friend.
Thank you, appreciate it. Well, that's been a philosophy that I have sort of lived by, trying to help, whether it was individuals or groups sort of develop capacity and develop strength. You know, when I took over Centro, it was pretty much a Latino organization at the time. We did have one person of color, and we had one Asian individual working for us. And if you look at the population, our workforce now is very, very diverse. I mean, we have Haitians, we have Africans, we have Asians, we have African Americans, we have Latinos of all about 14 or 15 different countries. We have Caucasian, we have Jews, we have Muslims. It doesn't, you know, to us, it doesn't matter. People are people, and they need help. And you know, a group of Haitian folks came to see us about 4 years ago to ask us for help to see how they could get organized, and we provided support and mentorship and guidance. Right now, Centro supports a number of different other groups. We have a group of Iraqi refugees. They're called Sabian Mandayan, and they have nowhere to worship and nowhere to go, and they have absolutely no resources because these individuals are refugees. They literally have almost nothing for income, and so they were depending on each other to help each other, had nowhere to meet, nowhere to organize, and we're providing them the opportunity to serve. There's a ministry by Richard Gonzalez on Main Street called the Net of Compassion, and they feed the homeless and prostitutes and drug users, and they needed a place to use an industrial kitchen, and we have one, and we said, go ahead and use it. And just like that, there have been other groups. There are 2 Ghanaian groups in the city of Worcester that have organized in recent years, and they both use Centro as the meeting place. Because the way I see it, even though we were established in 1977, mostly for Puerto Ricans, by Puerto Ricans, the purpose was to help this immigrant group. But the definition of this immigrant group today is very different than it was 40 years ago. And so this immigrant group now means Iraqis, it means people from all the different countries in Africa, it means Jamaicans, Haitians, it means Asians, it means everybody. And so if we're going to be true to our mission, then that's our purpose. And so we need to live it. And that's how I've lived all my life. I've been working very hard in our community with different groups and different individuals to help leave this earth better than when I arrived. And so it's not a strange thing, or it's not a stretch for me. But I'm happy that you acknowledge that and appreciate that. And my hope is that we will rally around those other people too and support them as they fight on our behalf, because it's truly a fight. I mean, they use, and I mean, you know, folks in power use every trick in the book to keep us divided. I hope that we don't get blinded by that, and we stay focused on building community. That's the way I've lived my life for at least the past 30 years.
Okay, so I know that your big thing is jobs for those that live in Worcester. So, and we know how Worcester is. So they're creating a new hotel, I hear, right? And if and when you get into office, what would be one of your policies to make sure that the jobs for this new hotel are people from Worcester? Is that possible to do? Because I don't want to, you know what I mean, say that you could do that, but it's not really a possible thing because of policy.
So here's the thing. When I was on the council, and City Square, which is downtown, all those big developments that are taking place, and this hotel will be part of it, was being proposed. It was being proposed by using $92 million of public dollars, $25 million from the state, $67 million from the city of Worcester, to develop this project. And at that time, I argued that we needed to have local jobs, and in particular jobs for people of color, and subcontracts for people of color.
Yep.
As well as moving forward that there would be vendor relationships with minority businesses. I was told at the time, get on the bus or you're going to get run over by the bus, meaning drop that nonsense, or we're going to move without you. Now 10 of the city councilors at the time voted against me and this motion. That is when we could negotiate with the developer and demand local jobs for local people. Today, that is illegal. In Massachusetts and at the national level, you cannot require a developer to hire local jobs or to hire minority people. However, now you hear from the same people who voted against it are arguing for it. And so what I'm saying to you is, don't believe the hype.
See, because you know, people come in here, they want to tell you, yes, I'm going to change, and it's like,
so
you can't.
Don't believe the hype. So number one, it's illegal.
Okay.
Number two, if there really is a commitment for local jobs, and in particular for jobs for communities of color, how come the city of Worcester, the government doesn't reflect the population that it serves? And they've been in office, and they've been doing this for 2, 4, 10, 20 years, and now all of a sudden they're waking up to this reality. It's been like this all along. When I was on the council, I fought, let me tell you something, as a candidate in 1999, I argued that we should allow women in the fire department. And Bill Coleman, Connie Lukes, Stacy Du Bois Luster, and at the time, the city councilor from District 4 was Janice Nadeau. Only the 5 of us were arguing on behalf of women getting on the fire department. Now, thankfully, we have a number of them, and one of them has become a lieutenant. She's been a lieutenant for a long time. But there aren't enough. And so, just the same, I argued, because there was only one lieutenant of color in the entire police department, and at the time there were over 400 police officers in the city of Worcester, and that was Lieutenant Rutherford. When Lieutenant Rutherford passed away, there were no officers of color. There were police officers, patrolmen, but there weren't any in rank. So I argued that we needed to do whatever possible to promote minorities to get positions of power within the police department, and everybody attacked me on that. I challenged everyone. Eventually, there were a number of minorities that were promoted. Officer Maddox, who is now either a lieutenant or a sergeant, Miguel Lopez, who was a sergeant, and there were a number of others. Now we have about 8 sergeants and 2 lieutenants. But still, that does not reflect the diversity of the city. 19% of the police officers in the city of Worcester are of color, out of 385. That does not reflect the population. And if we go over to the fire department, it's even less. 6% of the total fire force, 6% of the total fire force are people of color, when you have 335 firefighters. And so, you know, they can say whatever they want, they can spin whatever they want, but if there was a real commitment for diversity, then we'd be addressing those issues. And the reality is that there have been not 1, not 2, but 3 lawsuits of police officers of color, because they're suing the city over being passed over for promotions, which has been a discriminatory practice that has been challenged. Now, MCAD, which is the Mass Commission Against Discrimination, found in favor of a number of those police officers. And instead of our elected leaders and the city manager paying them off and promoting them like they're supposed to, they're challenging it in court. And so, you know, they can say whatever they want to say, but there's, in my opinion, and I have enough facts to show that there's not enough commitment to communities of color in the city. Equally, when it comes to the political world, all right, we had Moses Dixon last year running for state representative, and I supported him, and a number of other people supported him, but the political leaders in the city walked.
Yeah.
They took a walk. Instead, they supported a Democrat from Leicester because he was a union guy, right? And as a result,
neither one of them got in.
Neither one of them got in.
The one that they didn't even think about.
And the person that won doesn't even live in the city, and the city is 2/3 of the district. All right, this equally right, or just as bad. Let's say Jonathan Cortez ran for city council against Phil Palmieri 2 years ago.
Okay.
Now, when I was on the council, Phil Palmieri was an ally of mine. We worked on a number of things together, including getting us some funding for the Roberto Clemente Field in Great Brook Valley, and a number of other things. And so I felt a certain level of loyalty to Phil Palmieri. So I had a meeting with Jonathan, and I said, listen, I cannot support you this time. I have to support Phil Palmieri because of this loyalty. Fine, it went. He came this close from beating him, this close. So knowing that, now Phil Palmieri chose to run at large, and Jonathan is running in the district, and you would think that the Democratic Party in the city would be 100% behind him. Instead, the chairperson of the Democratic Party decided to run in that district.
Is that Candy?
Yeah. Okay. And now, so they're running against Jonathan. All right. So if there was a real commitment for diversity, those things which are so obvious and so blatant and in your face would never have happened. And they have.
I got you.
So.
And apparently they have, and I'm going unchallenged.
Yeah.
You've just covered so many things. You've covered so many things within the past few minutes here, but one of them that you shed some light on for me is that the fact that you said it's illegal to advocate for
people that live here in Worcester.
It's not illegal to advocate, but it's illegal to demand it as a tit for tat.
Yeah.
You know.
Because one of the things that we were told prior from candidates that we have interviewed here is that, well, when the contractors come and they try to find people in the city, that there is not enough
they're not qualified
people in the city of Worcester to fill these jobs.
That's not true.
That's what they say.
You know,
that's what you're saying here. That's not true.
That's not true. There are more than enough qualified people to fill those jobs.
Because
let me tell you the story. There's 186,000 people in the city of Worcester. 186,000 people. Over 80,000 of those people are people of color. All right? There is no way in heck that in that pool of people, there's not enough people who are qualified for construction jobs. Absolutely. And 20 years ago, when Medical City was built, I was on a group of people called the Worcester Minority Business Council. And that was Robert Thomas, Edwin Cancel, who used to be the executive director of Centro, Elmer Eubanks, that was James Bond. I don't know if you guys know James Bond, who's a veteran. And it was myself and a couple of other people of color formed this thing for the very purpose of unifying communities of color so that we could access opportunity in terms of economic development, jobs, and business opportunities for our community. We formed the Worcester Minority Business Council, and then during that process, there was the development of St. Vincent Hospital. At the time, it was called Medical City, that whole project. We worked with the developer, which at the outset, it was the Catholic Church owned the hospital. It was a Catholic hospital. And so then they spun it off, and then they sold that to another company who sold it to yet another company. And the third company who purchased it maintained that relationship with us. We were able to get a commitment from them to have 10% minority, 10% women, and 10% for minority subcontractors. Out of that deal, which was almost $200 million, there was one minority contractor who got a $17 million contract. There were minority people working on that job site, and there were minority subcontractors, and there were minority vendors afterwards. I don't know what has happened since, but I know what we were able to do. And if there were enough people of color to fill the jobs that were required according to our contract back then, there sure as heck are enough now.
Indeed.
Especially now. There's over 10,000 Ghanaians in this city alone. There's over 10,000 African Americans. There's over 8,000 Asian people in the city, and over 50,000 Latinos. I'm telling you that there's enough qualified people to fill the jobs if they had a commitment to it.
You know, you're tuning to Flavor Radio of that 5 FM. This is the Positive Impact Show. We're talking to Mr. Juan Gomez. Construction comes from engineers, all the way down to laborers.
Exactly.
And when that statement was made, I took it...
Cringed a little bit.
I took it actually personal.
I know.
Personal. Because you're saying to me that you could not find Mr. Frankie Paul in the city of Worcester to sweep a floor.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you're saying to me. And you're saying to me that you couldn't find me to cut a piece of wood because I don't know how to count. I can't count from 1 to 12 because 12 inches make 1 feet? I was paying attention in 2nd grade, okay? Thank you very much. So, when you break it down to that level, it is such an insult that someone could come here and say these things. And the fact of the matter is, get away with it.
Yeah. Well, they get away with it for 2 reasons. Number one, for a very long time, they have conditioned communities of color to really not pay attention and just accept what is given or accept what is told. I mean, that's one thing. And then the second thing is, we have a personal part to play in that as well. Communities of color have to get involved politically because in the end, that's where the power lies. That's truly where the power lies. And power is not going to be given to us. We have to take it. And the way we take it is we get qualified candidates running for office. We support them. We get them elected, and then they in turn negotiate deals on behalf of a community that desperately needs it. And by the way, if they sell out and don't do it, let's hold them accountable too.
Absolutely. Give them the boot by voting them out. This is something that we've been preaching here for 5 years.
Yeah.
Listen, if you don't come out and exercise the right that people blood and die for, which is the opportunity to vote and make your voice be heard, then you have, as far as I'm concerned, you have no right to complain.
None. So, Mr. Gomez, because Frankie will talk all day. Our partner Will, he asked this question: if you are coming to his doorstep, what would you say to me in order for me to vote for you? Is that how you say it? Yep. Did I get it right? Okay.
So there's a number of things that I say to folks. When I was knocking on doors in Great Brook, I said to them, look, there are 12 people running for this position. I'm the only one that has ever lived in these projects. I know what it's like to live here, and I know what it's like to try to get ahead, right? And I know all of the challenges that unfortunately poor and urban folks have, right? And I've worked hard to overcome those. And I know, and when I get on the council, I will be fighting on your behalf because I know what it's like to be there. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I have the experience, I have the education, I've done the job. I am not going to promise things that I cannot achieve.
Thank you.
All right? If it's no, it's no. If it's maybe, it's maybe. And if it's yes, it's yes. Yep. And that's my commitment. And that's probably why I am not in office today, because I will not, I am, government and politics is the art of negotiation, right? It's how much you can negotiate to get what you need that you can live with, and so the same person, much like in any other kind of negotiation. Not everybody gets everything, right? Yeah. Everybody walks away with something they can live with. And so I understand, but I will not negotiate on my values. I will not compromise my values. And that was one of the challenges that I faced when I was on the council before. I was fighting on behalf of opportunities at City Square. I was fighting on behalf of the ECWAs, the livery drivers, that they wanted to close down. And I was fighting on behalf of improving the quality of education that our kids were getting in the Worcester Public Schools. And I dared to challenge this city by proposing a charter school because I felt we could do it better ourselves than continuing to allow them to do a poor job. Yep. Right? And so because of all of those things, they teamed up against me and I lost. Like I said before, maybe I didn't fight hard enough, but the reality is that everybody was against me. So I know what it's like to fight, you know, sort of against the current. And frankly, there are other people on the council today who are reasonable individuals that I know I will be able to work with to get a lot more accomplished when I get there. And finally, no one is going to fight harder for communities of color like I will. I've already done it. The best measure of what an individual is going to do is you look back at his or her history and see what they've done. And I have fought the power, all right, of this city for 20 years. And I will continue to do it. I work in, I run an organization, Centro, and when I talk about diversity and when I talk about inclusion and when I talk about respect for other cultures, we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. If you walk through the halls of the organization, you will see how diverse our population, our workforce is, and the population we serve. That's not the those. My focus is not just on diversity and inclusion. My focus is also on bringing jobs to the city of Worcester and expanding the tax base. And I know how to do that. I've already done it. It is because I recruited the developers of the Hilton Garden Inn that hotel is here today. I met them while I was working in Springfield. My boss had a close relationship with the Pignelli family that also owns Peter Pan Bus Lines. They own the Sheraton Hotel in Springfield. They own the hotel right next to the Basketball Hall of Fame. They own a whole bunch of other businesses, and they own a hotel in Union Station in Providence, Rhode Island. So I approached them. I used to serve on the Worcester Redevelopment Authority, and I knew that Worcester could sustain another hotel. And I said to them, listen, I believe that if you come to Worcester, you will succeed in developing a hotel and you will make money at it. And I also believe that our city will benefit from it. Our city has benefited from it, not just from the taxes and the jobs, but also as a support mechanism to the convention center and to the center, well, the DCU center. I just dated myself, but so I've done it. I know how to do it, and I believe that I will be a very effective elected official when I'm given the opportunity to get back on the council. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. I have gained a higher respect for you listening to you today because I've never actually had that one-on-one conversation with you. Have you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Have you?
No.
Okay. I have, and I am very happy that you. I'm happy I cornered you at the other station because that's what I do. I go to other stations to steal people.
Yes, you did.
But I want to thank you very much for coming on the show and letting people really know the real deal, and that you are not going to compromise who you are in order to justify, because that tit for tat and the promises that you have to make in order to keep going, I think that's where it hurts people that get into office that are trying to please everybody.
And again, it's to me, we could talk politics all the time and what needs to be done and what's wrong with the city. We do it all the time. This is wrong, diversity. But for the simple fact that I know that you have done for others that are currently trying to change the city as well, selflessly, that speaks to me and that speaks to my vote when I go to look and it's time to go vote myself.
Indeed.
So,
thank you.
I appreciate you coming on the show. I got excited when she said, "Oh, Juan Gomez is coming on," because I heard you on that other place too, and that was rough. So
it was rough, but what did you hear? You heard the truth, right?
Yeah, I heard the truth. Yes, I did.
And then the last thing that I want to leave everybody with is I come from a broken home. As I said, we used to live in the projects both in the 70s and in the early 80s. And and it can be, and people can progress, and you know, not everybody has the same opportunity, and I worked hard, and I got lucky, and I'm blessed. And I, you know, my mom used to take a stick to us if we didn't behave, you know, and so that also helped, you know, keep us in the straight
it molds
narrow.
you a little bit.
Yeah, you know, but you know, I went to school locally. I got my associate's degree from Quinsigamond in business. I got my bachelor's degree in management from Assumption. I got my master's degree from Clark University in public administration, and I've taken the opportunity I've been able to take advantage of opportunities that have been presented to me by people who cared and who got involved in my life. And I try to do the same for others, whether it is providing support for other candidates that are running for office, providing support to smaller organizations that are trying to get up, or in general in our community. Just because many people in our community are poor doesn't mean that they don't deserve dignity and respect. Just because there are people who have mental health issues and have other challenges, whether it's substance abuse or alcohol or whatever, that doesn't mean that they don't need to be treated with respect and with dignity. And that's what I'm hoping, that people will give me the opportunity to just take a chance, because there are going to be a lot of evil things said about me in the next 2 weeks. And frankly, don't believe the hype. You know, the reality is, if they are so good for our community, how come we're so stuck?
Indeed.
And how come our government doesn't reflect our needs? You know, there was that roundtable discussion with the Department of Justice. Where's the report? And what is?
Why would they do that?
Where's the report, and where's the commitment to try and have some outcomes based on the recommendations or based on those reports and findings? You know, but I am their biggest strength, because no one can buy me. Not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, not the Green Party, not anybody. I belong to the people. That's what I've done for 30 years. That's what I'll continue to do. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Spinner, take us out.